Alright, hey guys, I want to talk to you today about booth or vendor events. These can be a really fabulous way to boost your business, to get your name out there to a new group of people that you haven't been in contact with before. And if you're having trouble kind of breaking out of your own circle of friends, this can definitely be your ticket to do that. I did my first vendor show at the very end of my incentive period last year, and it was a huge flop. I definitely lost money on it, and I did not take full advantage of the opportunity because I didn't know a whole lot of the tips and tricks that I know now. So I want to share those with you so you can all make your first vendor event a really positive experience. So the first thing we need to talk about is, how do you find a vendor event? You can do that in a few different ways that I've learned. The first one is to check your local Chamber of Commerce. They'll have all kinds of events and stuff listed there. Another way that I've found them is I've become friends with other direct sales people from other companies, and they often will post advertisements for events that they are attending that they'll be selling at. And so whenever I see one of those, I'll kind of send the organization a message real quick just saying, do you have an Usborne book consultant already? That's the first question you always have to ask. And then are they still accepting applications? So that's another way I can find them. And then the third way is, if you are an educational consultant and you have a school listed, definitely keep an eye on their website and see whenever they're having events. A lot of times, especially around the holidays, they'll do craft and vendor shows, and you can get in on that and get your name out there to other parents in the school, not just the school itself. So those are three different ways that you can find events in your area. Once you find an event, you first of all, of course, have to ask if they already have an Usborne consultant, and if they do, that's the end of the conversation. If they do not, then things you might want to consider whether this is going to be beneficial or not. First of all, how much is the fee? Some of them are free, some of them are hundreds of dollars. It really varies widely depending on how big the event is. Secondly, how big is the event? Like, how many people do they anticipate showing up there? Is this going to be worth your time and the money that you put into it? Other things you might want to consider is if there's Wi-Fi there, if you're going to take orders with a laptop or something, something like that. Do you need to bring your own tables and chairs, or are those provided? Just any other details that they might be able to share with you. Now, a lot of vendor events are smaller, and they're mainly for gaining contacts. You can do this by doing a book drawing, and I'll talk more about that later, and handing out business cards. So if you choose to do the event, there are two things you need to decide. First is, are you going to take orders or just sell things off the table? The cash or card and carry option is definitely more popular. When people attend events like this, they expect to be able to take something home with them. So if you can, that's the route you want to go. Then you need to decide, is it worth taking out consignment for? If you're in your incentive period, you can't do consignment yet. That's not a problem. I didn't do consignment for my first one, and had I known some of these tips, that event would have been much more beneficial to me. So you can definitely still do booths within your incentive period. You just can't do the consigned inventory. You need to figure out also if you're just going to accept cash or if you're going to accept credit cards, or both. If you're going to do credit card, you can do that through the Square readers. I really have no knowledge of that whatsoever. I don't have a smartphone yet, so you can definitely search on the Blossoms page. Lots of people get referral codes that they can give you that you'll get your first $1,000 processing fees for free and stuff like that. So that's definitely, sounds like a nice way to go from everything I hear about it. Or you can just bring a laptop. That's what I did for my first event. I just brought a laptop and took some orders, and I got a few orders that night, but definitely not enough that it covered my fee. But okay, if you are going to be taking orders, the day of the event, you definitely need to check the out-of-stock list, print it out, and bring it with you, just to make sure that you're not selling somebody something that is out of stock, and then you have to go back to them later and try to refigure their order. You will, if you're selling inventory or consignment, definitely bring much more than you think is going to fit on those tables, because as people purchase things, you want to replenish the table so it doesn't look sparse. Oh, the other thing that I learned is have a large number of copies of each book if you're able to do that on the table. Like, I know Shine-a-Lights are usually a big seller. Instead of just putting one Shine-a-Light book on the table, have a whole stack of them and have the one open on the top of it so people can see it very easily, but then they see that there's a lot there to choose from. A lot of people are very hesitant to buy the last copy of a book, So that's something that's beneficial to have. All right, talking about the day of the event. When you're preparing to leave, you know, I'm very big on checklists, so I always make myself a list of everything I need to bring with me, and make sure that everything looks professional. This is a job, you know, you want to make sure that your tablecloths are ironed, you know, things just look neat and professional. I know in our other aspects of our job, we really hype up the fact that we can work well in our pajamas, and that's probably not something you want to do here, so let's see why. Hi, have you ever heard of Usborne Books and More before? Definitely not how we want to dress for this job, right? Okay, so let's look professional ourselves and make sure that our table itself looks professional. Now, there are a bunch of different ways you can set up your booths. I personally love the L shape, or if I can make a U out of it, that's even better. It's really going to depend on what's available to you. A lot of times your booth is just going to be a table set up this way or two tables set up this way, and you just have to make the most of that. I like these because people come into the booth and they're kind of surrounded by all this Usborne wonderfulness, and it just seems a lot more inviting to me. It feels like it. So let's talk about best ways to set up your table. First of all, I really prefer dark tablecloths. I don't own nice tablecloths yet, but I typically get 3 packs of black plastic tablecloths at Walmart for $2.50. Very affordable, easy to transport. I just throw it away when I'm done. I've noticed that the dark colors really seems to make the colors of the books pop. It makes them much more noticeable, and I just think they look really good. The next thing I want to talk about is varying heights. Really makes your display look more interesting, and a lot of people they'll use their branded box to add height and color to their table. A lot of people have book racks. That's really nice if you have that available to you. A lot of people will have book racks that sit on the floor. They will offer a children's area where they'll have a little table and chairs, or even just like a rug or a quilt or something on the floor where the kids can sit and color while the moms are shopping. That's something that's very nice to offer. Just keep in mind whatever you put on the floor, especially, that it's not wobbly and it's not going to be a hazard to the little kids that come around, because some kids can be a little over enthusiastic. So just keep in mind those ones are going to come along at some point, and make sure everything is safe for them. All right, the way I have this set up is I always try to put something very eye-catching in the front that makes people kind of slow down and look, and I will show samples of this later. Usually a wind-up or a pull-back book is great for that, because the kids come running over and then the parents have to follow them to come and get them. And then one of these Shine-A-Light books I always like to put near the front too, and I'll kind of show you why later. Then I like to display the books. I like to kind of display them in action. Like if you can see this one here, I show how the books can be used as blocks, and then the nice display case, how they're used as matching things too. I really like doing that. The stroller book, I have a little box that I usually use. It has a hook on it, not a hook, but a little grommet, and I'll usually hook this onto the grommet, but I just didn't set that up today. These things I will put a sign with "Try Me," especially if I have like a coloring book or a magic paint book, or a white clean book or something that I want kids to try and play with. I'll put a little "Try Me" sign there that, you know, customers feel free to get their hands on the books and check them out. So, and I like to do different heights of everything. I mentioned before having stacks of books. Like I have all my Shine-A-Light books stacked up here, and then one open on the top. And the same thing over here with our illustrated stories. I have a whole bunch stacked up and one open on the top. So that adds height and just a little bit of difference, kind of showing what we have available. And then of course the branded box also adds height, and it's a nice place to store more books. So if somebody is looking for something specific and you happen to have it with you, you can pull it right out. Then in the very back, I always try to put this in the back, is my entry, the prize drawing, and I have this slip here. I will show it to you. This is one I can upload this into the files here on the UBAM Mustard Tree team. Gives all your basic information, best way they want to keep in touch, if they're interested in a party, if they're interested in joining, if they're interested in Cards for a Cause fundraiser, and this very last question I learned from another consultant, what is your favorite book on display today? This makes people who are just walking into this booth to win the free book, it makes them stop and look around at the books that they haven't already, so that's a really nice thing to have. Another trick that I learned is when you put pens out, take the caps. Don't put the cap with the pen because people are less likely to put this in their purse if they know it's going to make marks all over their stuff inside, so people won't steal your pens by accident. And then another thing I have right in front of the prize drawing slip is my book a party. Now different people do this different ways. It's making a big glare, can you see that? Okay. Different people do this different ways. Some actually do a tree, some do a banner with pick a date and pick a prize, stuff like that. I just printed this. I just saved this as a JPEG picture, and then these are just little post-it notes you can peel off. And I have low-cost free books, coloring books, sticker books, stroller books, stuff like that, that are under $10 as my prizes, and then I'll use the 65% off incentive to buy those for my hostess with her party that qualifies. And then I also have back here, I always try to make room for a catalog because we are never going to be able to display everything that we carry. So I have this back here too, so people realize we offer so much more than what they're able to see at this little event. And typically people aren't going to spend a real long time at the booth, so that's another nice way to do that. Okay, two more things I wanted to mention are if you have a banner, you definitely want to let people know at a glance who you are and what you're representing. So if you have an Usborne book banner, that's a fabulous thing. If you don't have one, definitely make yourself some kind of a sign. I've seen a lot of people just make little banners from those little flag type things that you put up at birthday parties and stuff. You can make them very easily and affordably. And then the other thing I wanted to mention was stickering. A lot of people like to put stickers on the backs of their books that they're selling at these events with their contact information, their website, their shopping site, things like that. That's a very hotly debated topic. Some people cannot stand having stickers on their books. They get so irritated when other people do it, and other people say it's such a great idea that they get a lot of repeat business that way. So that's totally up to you, whatever your preference is. Alright, so now we're going to see a few different scenarios of how to interact with customers, just a few little tips and tricks that I learned from other consultants that I worked with at booth events. So the first thing I learned is you don't want to stand right here at the end because people are intimidated and you're blocking their view of all the books. So you want to you don't want to be sitting down the whole time either. If you need to sit down to get off your feet or you want to get a snack or something, that's fine, but you want to be moving around so people see you're available, but you also want to be kind of fiddling with things the whole time so you look somewhat distracted and you're not ready to pounce on them as soon as they walk by. So this is one trick that I learned from our own wonderful Mary Ann Francis. We put something very eye-catching near the front. I also try to put some of our unique books and maybe some of our more well-known series like the That's Not My series, whatever you have room for, near the front of the booth. And so you just kind of nonchalantly play with the little toys and walk away and then fiddle with some other books. And then as a customer comes, they notice that movement, and a customer will come over to check out what it is. And you want to give them a minute or two, because one thing I noticed was if you approach them as soon as they approach the booth, a lot of them run away. Hi. How are you today? I'm good, thank you. Good. Have you ever seen Usborne books before? No. No? All right. Do you have a few minutes for me to show you? Yeah. Okay. Well, Usborne Books is a leading publisher of children's books. We have both fiction and nonfiction, and we have books for all ages, babies through young adults. This is obviously one of our more fun books because this whole series we have pullback versions like this, like you were just playing with. And then we have wind-up versions too. And there are different tracks in the books. Kids love these ones. A lot of our books are very unique and engaging like this. This is our Shine a Light series. These are some of my favorites and they are bestsellers because on every page there's something hidden for the child to find. And this one is Secrets of the Apple Tree, so it teaches all about the apple tree and its environment. So the apple tree is green with leaves in the summer. Can you see what it looks like in the winter? And this is great for bedtime or camping or something like that, because you can use a flashlight or your smartphone, or if you're looking at it at the daytime, hold it up to the light, and you can see the branches behind. Then on the opposite page, it's teaching the kids a little fact. So the kids are very excited about this, and they're learning as well. They don't even realize it. Usborne books are very big on that, getting the kids engaged, and they learn to love reading, and then they are learning while they're doing that. They're very good at sneaking in the learning. Then at the very end of these books, they teach them even more facts about what they were already excited about checking out. So Usborne does this very, very well. Okay, so that's my little 30-second or however long it was spiel about Usborne books. So that's like a nice taste for them to see what Usborne is all about. So then I'll move on to, if you want to come in and check out the rest of the books, we have all kinds of different things you can try out here. Feel free to play with anything you want to. And I tell everybody, if you see something you like, it's available for purchase today. You can take it home today. And if you see a whole bunch that you like, then definitely host a party. I do both home parties and Facebook parties. And if you want all of it, then join my team. And people usually laugh at that point. And then I will tell people in the back, we have a drawing for a free book. You just fill that out. And this is where I have, again, my book a party thing, the catalog with more books. So as they're filling this stuff out, they're going to see, plant those seeds for what else is really. Okay, now things I always bring with me, I make sure I have at these events to make sales quick and efficient, because sometimes you'll get large crowds of people and then other times it's dead, so you want to make the most of the time that you do have when you have people in your booth. This is something I got at Staples. It was under $6. It's a little money apron. And I use these clips to I'll clip all my ones together in one clip, and all my fives in another clip, and all my tens in another clip, just to make it very easy to pull money out to give people change who are paying cash. So that's a nice, handy thing to have. I also make sure that I have a calculator. I am not a numbers person, and especially when I'm busy or people are standing there waiting for me, I get flustered and I can't think very well. So my calculator is my best friend. I have paper order forms here. And this, I just have one order form and then a sheet of cardstock, and then a whole bunch of other order forms underneath upside down. That makes it very quick and easy. I always have the customer fill out this top part, and then if they're paying with credit card, I'll have them fill out the credit card portion by themselves as well. And then I will fill out the rest of this and their total and let them know what it is. And then they will receive this, this yellow paper on the bottom. I always make sure to put it in their bag. And I have their bags. These bags are so slippery, they fall all over the place, and I found that using a magazine holder makes it very easy. So I will put the yellow copy of that is their receipt, along with one of my business cards in the bag. And I make sure to tell them about the 50% replacement guarantee, and that way if anything ever happens to their book, they can get it replaced for half the price, and make sure they hang on to my information for that reason. And people seem to really appreciate that. Another thing that I always make sure to bring are two different colored folders. One is for people who commit to hosting a party, and another one is for people who express any kind of interest at all in joining. So I'll just show you real quick what I have in my hostess one. Always my business card right in the front. These little flyers I ordered from the supply store. Some of the postcards if they're considering doing a home party. And a little flyer I had printed myself. And I can upload the file if you want to see that and play with it and create your own. So that's what I put in my host packets. And this is what I put in my recruit packets. Again, business card. There's a whole packet here with information about our Disney trip this year, and then the agreement kit and paper order form. This is very important to have these big folders instead of just handing them a business card. These are not going to get lost as easily as a business card is. They're not going to set it down somewhere and forget about it. They're going to notice it if it's a big folder. So this is a really nice thing to have. total is $748 even. Thank you so much. Here's your receipt.
Okay, thanks. Have a good day.
You too. Enjoy your books. Alright, so hopefully you were a little bit entertained and you learned a lot of new tricks here. If you know of any awesome tricks that are really effective in your booths, then please put those in the comments below so we can all help each other learn. Alright, thanks a lot, guys.